in your life you try to find those opportunities where you're the right person at the right place at the right time doing the right thing. This is exactly that situation.
We're really looking to individualize medicine, and I think ITMI has provided ANOVA an opportunity to be on that cutting edge.
It's hard to describe. It's an incredibly powerful feeling to use molecular diagnostics to better care for people.
I recognized that our issue was not so much generating this kind of data about our human genome, our individual genomes. That was kind of the easy part, and it was becoming easier and it was becoming less expensive. The gap that I saw was in taking that sort of raw information, if you will, that very basic data, and putting it into a format that could actually impact the point of care.
When we kind of started out doing this, we thought about what is this going to look like in a year, 5 years from now. And we've set up this infrastructure so that it can scale, so that it can, we're sitting at 7,000 to 8,000 genomes. We think we can build it to tens to hundreds of thousands of genomes paired against the clinical record. There's this convergence of biological data that can be generated faster and more efficiently than ever. Well, we have to have the infrastructure to match it.
This is really the biggest revolution of our time, and our partners at ANOVA and ITMI in particular are really on the forefront of this field, especially on the data collection side, which is complementary to and synergistic with the computational side, and in particular the machine learning and the mathematical side. You now have the ability to do something really special and completely unprecedented.
We're going to have algorithms and opportunities for how we change the care we give now. And that's going to ultimately enable us to kind of take that into this new transformational era of medicine.
ITMI started with obstetrics and neonatology for a number of reasons. One is that if we really want to understand how conditions start and how to best take care of patients with that information, we want to start as early as possible.
Right now, 1 in 10 babies is born premature, and I've been at this business for 35 years and that number hasn't budged at all.
The intent is to be able to identify the 10% of the population that is at risk for having a preterm birth. And so what we can do by early detection, or even perhaps prediction, is to be able to have early intervention.
By looking at and overlaying the clinical and the genetic data, it looks like we're going to be able to help physicians and healthcare providers predict about 80% of preterm birth.
I'm very excited about the opportunity and the ability to actually have this genetics information to change these decisions that we make and change those processes and change those meds, whatever it might be, so that I can face those parents every day and say, I'm doing everything I can do to help your child survive.
The longitudinal study is, I think it's fair to say, is the flagship study of ITMI. It's an incredible study. It's quite honestly what brought me and a lot of the experts who came to ITMI here to be part of this honestly groundbreaking work. We start really early. We try to understand health while a mom is still pregnant, and being able to follow these moms and their families and the dads all the way through their lives, and hopefully, we can continue to gain from this understanding.
Another reason that collecting information over time in the same people, a longitudinal study, is important is that many disease processes and developmental disorders that might be developed are related. But it's very important to understand which comes first to really tease out where we need to intervene.
The retention rate is actually higher than any study that I've ever participated in or read about. We're 3 years into the study now, and we still have over 90% of our participants still very active.
One of the wonderful things about Northern Virginia is we're so diverse. We have over 110 countries of birth in our genomic studies, and that allows a richness and diversity in our patient population that no one else has.
Everybody comes from somewhere, and so the ability to be able to distinguish between genetic variation as a result of where you come from versus genetic variation that is truly disease-causing is really what we've been doing.
I think immediately within the coming 1 or 2 years, we'll learn better about how to predict those bad events that happen. So preterm birth, for example, onset of cancer, onset of bad cancer, onset of chemo-resistant cancer.
Things like asthma, things like developmental delay, things like autism, we can individually bin these and craft studies around these issues.
So it's a full continuum that we have opportunities for targeted therapies against.
I think for the first time, Innova is recognized nationally and to some extent internationally for the leadership that we are showing in how to really make this clinically relevant.
There are many institutions actually, gearing up to participate in these types of programs, but ITMI is already there.
I'd have to give Innova credit for really being, I think, the first. I'd say really the #1 institution to translate that type of research and this type of science into practical solutions for the community.
People who are considered to be the leaders in the field are coming to us and asking us basically how we're doing this.
Now I've got a clinical tool while I still have the patient, instead of a clinical tool that comes after the patient's already been discharged and out of my institution.
Innova can be proud of the fact that it has really started this translational medicine and is propelling itself into a new type of hospital. And that's what all the excitement is all about.
I think the important thing is that we all share that vision of wanting to do it. It is hard, it's complicated, but we're all excited about the potential to really, truly advance clinical translational research and bring it back to the patients and to bring it back to improved health outcomes.